What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Curtis, and today I want to ponder the simple question of, are the ancient pathways truly locked? And if so, how do we unlock them? So let's get into it. In Revelations, my favorite book of the Bible, chapter 3, verse 7, it says, "And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write," which is convenient because I live in Pennsylvania, where we have a city named Philadelphia. "These things say, he who is holy, he who is true, he who has the key of David, he who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens." The access that God has granted us through the blood of Jesus is not random, but it's governed by Christ, right? So we have to make sure that our alignment is one that we are very sure of, and make sure that it is aligned with God and with Jesus and with His Word. Because if you're not, then you're not going to be able to unlock any of those things that God has for you or where you need to go. Because it says that you have to have the key of David. You have to be holy and true as He is holy and true. And the door that He opens, you can't shut, but the door He doesn't open, you can't open either. And the one He shuts, no one opens. So you have to have the key. What is the key? The key is the truth, the Word of God. And the truth behind that is that the pathways aren't lost, they're locked. The fact is that God's pathways aren't outdated. They can't be updated with Google or Apple Store. There's no update like that. You can't just buy a new Bible with all the new stuff in it. You have to go back and do the research. You have to go back and study. You have to unlock those things, unlock the knowledge in this Word for yourself. And the truth is, that sucks for a lot of people, is that this is not accessible for everyone. Not everyone gains access. Only those who walk with God, who pursue after the things of His kingdom, will gain that access. And this key of David we talk about represents three things: authority, alignment, and access. And these pathways are not, something new. These are God's original design. God designed us to access these things according to who we are in Him and who we believe He to be in us. And honestly, this access that we have is more about purpose, calling, and obedience than it is about anything else. Because what's the point of accessing these things if not to live according to God's purpose? What good does it do you to have access if you're never going to go in there? Like, if I have a key to a room in my house, and it's my house, and it's my key, and it's my room, but I never go in there, what was the point of building my house and having that room in there in the first place, right? If not to use it and have purpose for it for something. That's what God has given us. He's given us a purpose. He's given us an idea. He's given us a chance to, think for ourselves and not be told how to think. He's given us a chance to, act according to righteousness and not wickedness. He's given us a chance to build our lives around His purpose instead of around our, self-indulgence. We don't discover these pathways in a casual sense. These pathways are something that have to be intentionally found and intentionally unlocked. It's not going to happen by accident. It's not going to happen because you wish for it or you hope for it. It's going to happen because you seek it out and you find it. And you have to step into them intentionally. It's not that God is hiding a path. It's that not everyone is positioned to walk in it. And that sucks for a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, well, Chris, I don't want to do things according to God's way, but I would like to receive the blessings of God. Well, that doesn't work. Just like if my kids don't do their chores, they don't get switch time or phone time at the end of the night. If you're not doing what God needs you to do or God called you to do, then don't expect Him to reward you for something you're not doing. I have on here that access is given, right? It's always available. Access is always available, but it's your alignment with God that will unlock it. because God gives access, but not without responsibility. Again, what's the point, of having said room in my house, right? And it's built for a purpose and it has a function, but when I go into it, I don't use it for that purpose. I don't use it for that function. In that same aspect, what would God give you access for if you're not going to use it responsibly? Because Jesus is the key holder. He's the key maker. He's the key man, right? He ultimately is the one who unlocks the cells of the sinners, and he's ultimately the one that unlocks the doors, for the righteous. But he opens those who are walking with him, who are in step with him, right? You can't walk ancient pathways according to who you are. You have to walk them according to who Jesus is, because it's his steps that will perfectly, guide you back, back home, because this isn't the goal. The big house and the rooms, not the goal. The fancy cars, not the goal. Those things are all great, and I'm not saying you can't have them, but the goal should always be, in the midst of all that, to make it back to heaven. And that requires you to walk like Jesus. And that requires us all to suck it up and to look deep down within ourselves and to find within ourselves an obedience, a humility, and a surrender. Because those three things are what turns the key for us to gain access. You want access to his purpose, but are you willing to be uncomfortable on your path to gain that access? Because that is what it's going to take in the long run. It's for you to be uncomfortable, for you to be out of place, for you to be, a peculiar sight to some people. And it's not that, you're just looking for the path to walk in. It's the fact that we're each of us called to walk in it. Even if you don't believe in God, even if you believe in some random stupid religion, or you're atheist, or you're a flat earther, it doesn't matter what you believe in, right? Your beliefs don't make a difference. It's your faith that makes the difference. And what is your faith in? If your faith isn't in God, you're not going to be able to walk his pathways. And why would you, right? People are like, oh, well, I want blessed. But you want blessed, but you don't want to walk with God. So why would you want his blessing? Because you see that it's better than what you're walking in? Because you see that it's better than what you have, but you don't want to make the sacrifice or surrender or be obedient to his word? So you want it, but you don't want it. God doesn't reveal the pathways for curiosity. He reveals them for activation. Because once you walk his pathways, once you unlock those things and begin to step into them, you activate a calling, a purpose. The calling is always on your life, but it's not activated. It's like a dormant thing, right? And once you unlock that door and walk through it, well, then that thing becomes apparent, that there is a purpose behind this door. There's an action to walking through it, and there is an action to walking down that path that you've unlocked for yourself. If you're not going to do it out of obedience, if you're not going to do it out of that surrender, then what are you doing it for? What is the point of wanting it if you're not going to do it according to his way? Because obviously you need a better way, because you're looking for his way to do something, but you're deciding that you don't want to do it his way once you find out that the blessing that is at the end of the access way that you've unlocked requires hard work and dedication, discipline, and faith. Come on, man, let's go. You got to lock in, because his ancient past. Oh wait, hold on. Let me get to this point. Because the moment he opens the door, there's an expectation to step through it. Again, are you going to open the door? You're gonna see the good stuff at the end of the pathway, but then you see all the stuff you got to get through on that pathway. Are you just going to shut the door and pretend you didn't see anything? Are you just going to stare at the end and go, man, that'd be great if I could get there? Well, what's the point of opening a door then? What's the point of accessing something you're not going to walk in? What's the point of accessing a doorway you're not going to step through? Faith has to have action. And, to the point of, his ancient paths are not a random series of dead ends. It is a lead to an eternal purpose. It's not temporary convenience. It's not, forever hardships. It's just how God tests and tries his people. He doesn't put you through evil things. He's not going to use evil for good and good for evil, but he will say, okay, you want a key? You asked for a key? Here's a key. Now use the key. Walk, stand, unlock, do something with it, because it requires work. It requires effort. An open door means nothing if you're unwilling to walk through it. Oh man, that's good stuff. Hopefully you guys are getting this as much as I was getting it whenever I was writing it down. But man, saying it out loud, it's a lot harder than whenever you're just writing it in your notes, right? But to close this thing out, because we're coming up on time here, Jesus holds the key, and he's still opening the doors that no man can shut and shutting the doors that no man can open. If you want him to shut something, have him shut it. If you want him to open something, have him open it. But the question is, when he does those things, when he unlocks and when he locks the pathway that's in front of you, are you willing to accept it? Which means, are you willing to leave that old thing behind that you shut behind that door? Leave the pride, the arrogance, the chicanery, the tomfoolery. Are you ready to leave that all behind you when he locks that door? And are you willing to step into the obedience, the surrender, the purpose when he opens that other door? Are you willing? Not am I willing, but are you willing? Is it something that you are able to do? Or are you going to try and wrestle the key back out of his hand to get back to where you know, to what's safe, to what leads you to a dead end, but it's a dead end that you know is coming? Or are you willing to follow God into glory that you haven't yet seen? I don't know. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. God bless. I love y'all.